My name is Karen Maynard. I'm the Director of Student Services here at APU, and I would just like to briefly give you an overview of what we're going to cover tonight. So you'll get to meet the majority of our full-time faculty are here tonight. We're going to talk about what you can do with an MSW degree. Some of you already know that, and you know that's why you want one, and others maybe just kind of exploring what you can do as a social worker. We'll talk about our program specializations, our different cohort models that we have, our field internship component, and then we'll talk about the admissions requirements and the process to apply for the program. We'll also talk a little bit about the financial part of the program, and then right at the end we'll have a current student and one of our alumni come and speak. And then at the end, we will have time for questions, both as a group and then individually. We'll all be hanging around, and you'll be able to come and just talk with us, whoever you feel might be able to kind of answer your specific question. We have a list up here of our full-time faculty, and down at the bottom here, we have all the 3 different grad reps that we work with. So tonight we have Chris Trejo, who works on our Azusa campus. And we also have William, and then JC works at our Inland Empire campus, and that is a new program we're starting next fall, and we're going to talk about that tonight. So if we can just have the faculty come up, and we're just going to really briefly just introduce ourselves. So again, my name's Karen Maynard. I'm in my 23rd year at APU. And so as part of my role as Director of Student Services, I oversee the admissions process. So any questions that you have about the program, I'm the person that you would contact. And I teach the organizational behavior and management classes. So.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Jennifer Payne. It's great to see all of your faces here. And I am a clinical faculty. I've been here for 5 years, going on 6 years. And so I teach, primarily I teach, there's a class called Practice 2 for foundation year. And you would be learning intervention and evaluation during that particular class, what different evidence-based practices that are out there. And then I also teach a class on behavioral health with adults. And so you would be learning how to diagnose with the DSM, or the Diagnostical Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, pretty much backwards and forwards how to do that. My research thrust is I do a lot of research with mental health and pastors.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Margaret Lee, and this is my 7th year here, I believe. I'm really interested in macro and policy, and so if any of you work in a county department, or many of you maybe are interested in the part-time options and you're doing administrative work, policy work, then come talk to me, because I would love to talk to you about how an MSW can help enhance what you're already doing, and especially with a master's, what additional job opportunities may be available for you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Olivia Sevilla, and I am a full-time faculty here for a little bit over 11 years, going on my 12th year, let's put it that way. And I teach the foundation year students in their practice class. So in that class, we're looking at how to use your basic skills to engage and to assess, do a full biopsychosocial assessment. We talk a little bit about how do you evaluate how do you determine what kind of intervention you're going to do, and a little bit of diagnosis. We start exposing you to that, and then evaluating your effectiveness as a practitioner. Also, even as a community practitioner, we touch a little bit on that in terms of those steps. Some of my research interests include leadership in social work, but also the Spanish language clinical development for Spanish-speaking clinicians.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Donna Gallup. This is my third year here at APU. I focus on the community leadership side. I love nonprofit administration. I teach program planning and evaluation, grant writing, fundraising, and fiscal decision making that everybody should have, and also foundation year macro theory. And I'm super interested, and my areas of interest are in nonprofit leadership. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Regina Chow-Trammell, and I teach particularly in the clinical therapy track. So some of you might be considering MFT versus MSW, and I hope that you'll be convinced at the end of the night that the MSW is the right degree for you. And particularly, I just want to say I was in private practice prior to coming here. This is my 8th year teaching, so definitely you're in good hands. My research interests are in particularly here the clinical part, the Christian mindfulness, how we can integrate that into therapy practice. And so welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. My name's Virginia Olivas, and I'm field faculty. I also coordinate the DCFS Child Welfare Stipend Program. So I am now in my 4th year here, and I teach the field child welfare field seminar classes, both foundation and specialization year. My area of interest is child welfare, adoptions, permanency, and working with the Latino population. So I will be back up shortly to speak to you about a wonderful stipend opportunity for those of you who are passionate about children and working with families.
Good evening. My name is Jean Un, and I'm one of the field faculty here that has to do everything with your field internships if you were to start the MSW program. Field internships are the integral part of MSW program, and so that's my interest and passion because I'm really big on clinical social work. This is my 4th year here at APU, and I have been in direct clinical practice for over 18 years prior to that. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. I'm Kim Setterlin, the director of the MSW program, and I oversee the all aspects of the curriculum and evaluating kind of the strength of our program. I've been here at APU for 12 years and have taught social work in healthcare settings, capstone, and a number of other courses, including field. Let's see, and I have a small clinical practice that I maintain just to keep my feet wet in clinical work, just to keep me fresh in the classroom, and my research interests involve interprofessional education in healthcare and mental health. Welcome.
Hello and welcome. My name is Froylana Miller. I'm the Director of Field Education here at APU. I've been here at APU now for 4 years, and my special passions include international social work practice, in particular focusing on trauma reprocessing, utilizing the body's nervous system. I have lots of passions, mental health, the list goes on, but we don't have enough time for that tonight. So I just want to give you all a warm welcome. I am the person, along with my team, who will work to find you that ultimate field placement in either of our 5 counties that we service. So thank you and welcome.
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Mary Rawlings, and I am chair of the Department of Social Work, which means I oversee both our BSW program and our MSW program. And I just have to say, I'm really excited to see you all here tonight because I am very, very proud of this program, very proud of this faculty. I think we have a strong program in both tracks, both our clinical and macro tracks, and I'm excited that you can hear all about them tonight. In terms of my particular interests, I do teach in both the MSW and BSW programs. I teach primarily research, and then leading into your capstone leadership project, all of our students, instead of a thesis, are engaged in a project at their agency sites that involves an evaluation component. Really proud of the work that the students have done with that. And then lastly, my research interest has to do with assessing competence in our students in terms of their clinical skills. And so one of the ways that we do that here at APU is to also involve you in a lot of simulation where you get to work with actresses and to get feedback on your actual ability, because it's one thing to read things in a book, it's another thing to get to practice them. and get feedback from your instructors or from evaluators. And so we feel it's really helped us give a real distinctive to our program, and looking forward to meeting more of you as the night goes on. So I'll pass this back now to Karen.
So Kim Sutherland will be coming up now to give you some examples about what you can do with an MSW degree.
Hi again. So glad you're all here today. How many of you are considering a full-time program? Okay, part-time? Right. Okay. Advanced standing? Any BSW graduates? Awesome. All right. I always like to get a sense of who's in the room and what your interests are. Okay. Well, I'm excited to tell you a little bit about what you can do with an MSW degree. I'm guessing that you have already started to do some investigating, yeah? All right, checking out what an MS degree is about and your options. And as Dr. Trammell had mentioned, well, MSW or MFT, right? We joke about it, but you know, we love our MFT colleagues, but we love our degree more because we know how broad it is. No. So, as my colleagues had shared some of the settings in which they practice, you can see that the degree is very broad and allows for employment and a career in various settings. And this is just a sample, right? These are more the traditional kind of practice settings, but more and more industries outside of community mental health, healthcare, maybe nonprofit agencies, you know, are seeking MSWs, you know, to be leaders and to be clinicians and to be change makers. So take a look at this list and let me know if there's something else you're interested in that's not listed. So I see behavioral health, adoptions, foster care, older adults, probation, parole, military. Yeah. Anything else missing? Not all inclusive, but you know, kind of a broad list. Okay. Well, here at APU, we have 2 specializations that you are able to apply for. The first one is community leadership and program administration. We also call that our macro specialization. Okay, this is a specialization for people who we say have kind of big picture thinking, okay, who see not just an individual client, but see communities and groups and about large scale change. Okay, so when you think about affecting change, do you think about working one-on-one with a client, or do you think about, wow, I can affect that community or that population, these marginalized communities, right? Okay, so in this specialization, you would learn community organization, outreach, program development and evaluation, program management, grant writing, fundraising, and also international social work. Our other specialization is clinical practice with individuals and families. We call that our micro level specialization. And often people who are interested in clinical practice may enter maybe a mental health or behavioral health setting, working with individuals, families, and groups. Okay, this tends to be the more impacted specialization. Okay. Some of you may have picked this up. This gives a little bit more information, or a lot more information, about the specializations. As you're considering which specialization is for you, this may be helpful. Those are a little handy-dandy Venn diagram. What you see in the green are the generalist practice skills that you would be learning in the first year of the program. Okay, those are the foundation skills that you'd be learning. So you would be learning engagement and assessment techniques. You would be learning how to conduct a biopsychosocial assessment, apply understanding of diversity, with working with diverse populations, and so on and so forth. When you've completed your foundation level coursework, you will enter into either your clinical practice or community leadership coursework, okay? So The orange side is advanced leadership program coursework, which includes maybe program development, maybe supervision, maybe program planning, clinical practice, maybe evidence-informed practice, implementation of the recovery model. So this just kind of gives you a sense, right, of what you all would learn and then what you would specialize in. Okay. All right. So here is an example of the community specialization courses you would take. So these are all required courses, starting with program planning and evaluation, our organizational behavior and management course, which is essentially our administration course, human rights and sustainable development, organizing for community change, research, your field courses, and capstone leadership. So those are all the required courses. In the clinical specialization, these are the courses. So as you can see, behavioral health, children and adolescents, adult behavioral health, family therapy, policy for health and behavioral health, research again, and your field courses that are focused on clinical practice and capstone leadership. In addition, you would select 2 elective courses, and these are currently the elective courses that tend to be offered the most and are most popular with our students. Okay, so we are, I think, very responsive to students and what student interests are. So and we're also responsive to what the needs of the social work field is in terms of elective options. So Roylana Miller will be available later to talk about international social work study abroad options for anybody who's interested in doing international social work. So this year, we are actually in our 3rd year of our international social work coursework, and we're actually going to Ecuador and Kenya. That really says Kenya. Kenya in summer of 2020. So we're very excited about that. And if anybody's interested in learning more about international social work opportunities, Roylana's the one. All right. All right. So I'm going to call up Olivia and Donna, and they're just going to go over this scenario applying a clinical and community practice perspective.
Hello, everyone. We're going to deal with a vignette just to give you an idea of how someone with a clinical focus would deal with it and somebody with a more community practice focus would deal with this same issue. So a family with 3 children, ages 2, 10, and 13, are referred to a community-based mental health agency by the school district. The 13-year-old son has exhibited behavioral problems in the classroom. The mother appears depressed. This is the first time the family has come to the agency for help. And perhaps we're assuming the first time they've reached out for help at all. So from a clinical practice perspective, what I'm looking at is both at individuals and families. I'm also looking at the systems that they're involved in and how much support they have from those systems and extended family. But I think one of the first things that I want to understand about this family is their culture and how their culture and perhaps their faith helps them navigate seeking help or maybe hinders them from seeking help. So that's what I want to learn as I meet them and as I get to know them. My goal is to look at some of the red flags. So when a person is depressed, for me that's an invitation to ask a little bit more questions about how they're managing their depression, how severe it might be, if there are any risk factors in there, not just for the person who's depressed, but if they're a parent, then I would want to know how are they managing their children, because there are some young children in this, there is a young child anyway in this family, and how are their needs being met. But as a practitioner, a clinical practitioner, I would be conducting a full biopsychosocial assessment. So what that means is I'm going to ask medical history, psychological history, their experience with counseling, and accessing mental health services, their social history, spiritual, cultural, etc. And my goal is to help identify what areas that I can be helpful in, or link them, areas that I might need to link them to other services for. I also may come up with a diagnosis for individuals in the family. So my goal is really to see if there are any mental health issues that need addressing, and where I might be helpful to them. And then I will determine what interventions would be best to utilize with them, or each of them as individuals or as a family, etc. And then we would continue with our treatment. I'd be looking for areas of progress where their symptoms may be diminishing because of interventions, hopefully because of interventions. And I'll assess my effectiveness by looking at that.
And as the nonprofit leader, I'll be assessing whether or not she is effective and whether or not the delivery of her interventions are working for this particular family and for our larger organization. I'll also be responsible and want to know and understand what services, do we have all the services that the family needs? Are they comprehensive enough to meet the needs of this particular family? Also to make sure that there's enough resources, right? Finances is very important, to make sure that there's enough money for Olivia and all the clinicians to do their work. I'm also, though, looking at, this is the first time the family's coming to the center. So does that mean that there are other people in addition to this family who were not meeting their needs in the community? Why is it that the first contact that we're having is with this family? Is there more that we need to do to market our organization to the community to make sure people are aware of what services we have? So from a bigger picture, and then there might be, if there was a needs assessment and there were more families like this, then we might want to see, well, are there gaps in the system, and how do we work together to make sure that we're addressing those gaps in the community?
So hi, I just wanted to say a word about our program. We are a faith-based university, and the MSW program does look at how do we ethically integrate faith and spirituality in practice. I think it is important, though, to understand that I think sometimes people think because it is a Christian university that you have to be a Christian to come to our program. And it's important that you know that we welcome all students to our program, regardless of faith background, regardless of sexual orientation, that all students are invited and welcome into our program. But we do want you to know a little bit about what to expect if I go to a faith-based university. So one of the things that we are not is that we are not a Christian counseling program. We are an accredited social work program, and you are going to be learning how to be a good, strong social work professional. But you're also going to learn in the classroom what are Christian perspectives, and I say perspectives because there's not always just one perspective on some of these key social welfare issues. We really want you to be critical evaluators of what does faith have to say about some of these issues. Should we have faith-based partnerships? Should we have federal funding for that? That we need to be critical thinkers around these things, and that often there's not just one right answer, but we have to be able to at least be knowledgeable about what that means. We also really want to prepare all our students to be able to ethically integrate faith and spirituality in their work with clients. Faith can often be a resource for clients. It can be a spiritual community that can provide support, but sometimes faith has also been something that's been damaging to people and have wounded them. So we want our students to be able to know how to bring that into the conversation ethically and effectively with their clients. We had a former graduate who is atheist, and he said, I'm really glad I came here because I feel now that I will know how to work with a Christian client or with someone who is Jewish. Like, I will know how to bring that into the conversation. And so that's our hope by you coming here, that you will get familiar with some Christian perspectives on these key social welfare issues, but also that you will know how to effectively integrate faith and practice as you go forward. We do have also, though, some internships in faith-based settings. We do have students who come here who really want to specifically work in a faith-based setting. So we do partner with some of those agencies. But most of our agencies are in non-faith-based settings, as that's where the majority of our social workers that we work with partner. We also have a graduate chaplain because as we're wanting you to be holistic with your work with clients, we're also wanting to be holistic in our care of you as students. And so we do have a graduate chaplain also available to our students to meet your faith and spirituality needs as well. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is accreditation. This is really important no matter what program you're looking at. We are fully accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, and social work accreditation is a national accreditation, which ensures that whether you're going to school in California or you're going to school in Connecticut, that you are getting the same foundation competencies in your training. One of the advantages to this is if you're living here now, but maybe your partner at some point wants to move to Texas, you can practice in Texas, that you will have met those foundations by graduating from an accredited program. So we are fully accredited. The MSW was just fully reaccredited not too many years back. I know we're right kind of in the middle, and our BSW programs are also fully accredited.
So I'm going to share with you the different cohort options that we have. So we have a 2-year full-time program that meets at the Azusa campus here. We have a 4-year part-time program that meets at the Azusa campus. And we're really excited to begin a 3-year part-time program that meets at our Inland Empire Regional Center. And that is in a really convenient spot right where the 10 and the 215 meet. So you're literally, I mean, you can see the freeway from when you get out of our big building. So that will start next year. So you can see how this is laid out each week. So the full-time program, you have classes all day Tuesday and Thursday. It is a full day here on the Azusa campus. And then you have internships 2 days a week. And those are on weekdays during traditional work hours. So typically 8 to 5 or 9 to 6. And so the agencies that we partner with know that our internship days for our full-time students are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So they will typically do 2 of those days. So you're looking at 4 full days a week, plus all your homework, your papers. So it's a really full program. And you're doing basically, it's 60 units altogether. And so that is the 2-year model. Our 4-year model that meets on this campus, you have classes, just classes in years 1 and 3. And in years 2 and 4, you have classes and internship. So the way it works is our classes on this campus meet on Tuesday night. They start at about 4:20 and they go until about 10:30. And you get a short break in between the 2 classes that you're taking. And then you also have, in some of the semesters in the 1st and the 3rd year, you have Saturday classes that meet 5 Saturdays per semester. And you're told which Saturdays they are before the semester begins so that you're able to plan, your own life too. And internships, as I said, take place in the 2nd and the 4th year when we do not have Saturday classes. Then we have 2 different options for advanced standing students. So for those of you that may be wondering, what is an advanced standing cohort and do I qualify for that? Advanced standing is an accelerated program for students who have already graduated with a Bachelor of Social Work degree from a CSWE accredited program. And so if you have to wonder if you are one of those, then you're probably not. If you're in a CSWE accredited program, you'll know it. And so the way that this works is that these students that get accepted into this have 2 summer bridge classes. They meet 2 nights a week for about 6 weeks, and then there's also some online component with it that they're doing. And then the full-time 10-month advanced standing students basically join in then with the 2nd year full-time students. So ultimately, it's a 10-month program. They have 20 hours a week of internship. the advanced standing students, because they're only doing one internship with us because they've already done one with their BSW program. And then we have a 2-year advanced standing option. And that's for people that want to keep working while they're in our program. So they would do the summer bridge classes, and then instead of joining in with the 2nd-year full-time program, they would join in with our 3rd-year part-time cohort. So they're doing the 3rd and 4th year of the part-time model. They would do an internship in their 2nd year, and again, it would be a 20-hour internship. They would have classes on Tuesday night and some on Saturdays in that 1st year. And then this is our brand new model that we will be starting next August. And then this is the Inland Empire part-time 3-year model. And you might be wondering, well, how come one part-time program is 3 years and one is 4 years? So the traditional 4-year model that we've always had here, we have not had any required classes in the summer, which is the same for the 2-year full-time program. So you can just be class and internship free in the summer, unless you choose to take some electives in the summer, which some people do, and then they lighten their load later on. With this 3-year model, you do take summer classes, but we have opted to not have classes in the latter part of the summer, so you do get a break so that you can take a vacation or do fun things or actually have time to hang out with your family without, writing papers and studying. So it's sort of like it's fall, spring, and what we call summer 1, and then you have summer 2 off. Now, if somebody wanted to graduate a little bit earlier without taking a 3rd summer, that is possible if they had the time and they wanted to fit more electives in the summer. But with this model, there's no internship in year 1, but then there's internship in year 2 and 3. And this model will have classes on Thursday night. So Tuesday night for the part-time in Azusa, and Thursday night and some Saturdays for the Inland Empire. This facility, as I said, it's right by the 10 and the 215, so it's a really convenient location. I was talking to someone, I think over there, is from Victorville, people in San Bernardino, Moreno Valley. I mean, we've had people commute that from those places to here, but this is going to be super convenient for cut down probably travel time in half for some people. And now Fräulein will talk about field internships.
So here at Azusa, we are exceptionally proud of our field internship program. I am surrounded by a wonderful group of social workers who work very, very hard at ensuring that your field placement sites offer wonderful opportunities to socialize you to the profession, to train you well, not just in a particular area of practice, but to develop a total overall social work practice skill set that you can take anywhere and apply to any setting and to any population. All of our field instructors receive special field instructor training, and so they are trained anywhere. They're trained anywhere between 12 and 16 hours every year. And so we have a wonderful, and on average, we probably turn out somewhere around 85 to 90 field instructors every year to ensure that you receive special training and supervision under their qualifications. Our internship locations, we've always enjoyed wonderful relationships with all of our partners across multiple counties. So we do have partnerships established in LA, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, as well as Ventura. Our current field policy is that we have a 45-mile radius from home for our students. So we do sometimes have to have our students commute to their placement site, depending on where they are successfully matched and according to area of interest. We used to say 45-minute drive, but now here in LA and in the Inland Empire, as you know, it's no longer 45 minutes to get somewhere, right? We do ask that you have reliable transportation for field. You do not need to have a vehicle for field. You just need to have reliable transportation to get to and from your internship site. Field internship is also a wonderful opportunity to not only gain practice skills, but also to be able to develop that skill set to have gainful employment. And I love this chart because the statistics from the Department of Labor has recently published what the trend is in terms of social work employment and in what particular areas. So we are now tending to see in three concentrated areas where to expect growth of employment. We expect to see growth under child, family, and school social work, healthcare social work, as well as mental health and substance abuse. Those are the three categories that are the fastest growing, the fastest in demand, and that need reliable, professionally trained social work to enter those fields. And as I like to say, I have a placement for that. Examples of our placements. Sometimes people really want to know, well, what can I expect in terms of my first year field placement or my final year field placement? With our accreditation guidelines, all students in their foundation year of internship receive training in biopsychosocial spiritual assessment, generalist intervention or clinical practice. In some cases, there is clinical case management opportunities, as well as facilitating psychoeducational groups or therapy groups or one-on-one individual. And so some examples of those internships that illustrate those skill sets would be perhaps a domestic violence program, a shelter perhaps, as well as our very popular school-based mental health program, which we enjoy a wonderful partnership with a majority of our LA County and Inland Empire schools. Also, there is an element of crisis intervention that all students also learn in their first year. In second year, when you are macro specialization, this is just an example of one of our specialized placements for this particular specialization. We are very happy to have partnered with the Corporation for Supportive Housing, in which it is a wonderful collaborative with other schools of social work, as well as our agencies focusing on rapid rehousing and homelessness. And so with our macro students get to enjoy a range of wonderful program development opportunities. Our students conduct program evaluations, they complete quality assurance projects, they develop and implement policies and procedures. And also data collection can be a part of that. There are just so many wonderful opportunities, and not just with this particular organization, but with organizations such as Catholic Charities, the departments of mental health, as well as city government as well. That's just some examples. For our clinical students then focus on advanced clinical practice skills such as diagnosis, evidence-based treatment, as well as opportunities to collaborate with other disciplines as part of an integrated setting. So, for example, one of our specialization year internships can be at the state prison, jail mental health, our county mental health systems. So we really have a wide range of opportunities for our students and how to grow that clinical skill set. So part of our program is we feel that it's important to kind of address some commonly asked questions for our students. And oftentimes questions come up about, can I use life experience or can I use previous employment history to satisfy the internship requirement? And it is an accreditation standard, so for any school of social work who has the same accreditation as we do, which they all do, no one can use past experience or life experience or work history to satisfy the internship requirement. So our students must be available for a minimum of 16 hours per week in the field, or some sites may require 20. To complete our minimum internship requirement of 980 hours. Our field placement process is rather intricate and detailed. We have two placement processes that we follow. We are partnered with the Southern California Schools of Social Work, and so we have a consortium where we meet once a year. Matter of fact, we're meeting on Friday to talk about our field placement process. We uniformly have a day where we to ensure that all students have competitive advantages, where our students have it's a uniform day where our students then reach out to their agency internship sites to establish their internship process. Prior to that, our team meets with each and every individual student to talk about your career goals, to talk about the areas in which you would like to learn, to talk about your previous work experience, and how we can further develop your current skill set, or what we also call transferable skills. So if you're not, let's say for example, you're not currently employed in a social work setting, but you have other relevant work experience, we look and identify what we call that transferable skill set, and to see where we can continue to grow you in the social work profession. So our placement process actually will begin starting next week with our students, and we will be interviewing and placing and matching. And so for students who are seriously interested in Azusa, especially for our full-time cohort, we will be beginning that process really soon. For new admits, we begin as early as February and March for that process. For our internships on weekends or after work, our current policy is that our students complete their internships during regular business hours of our agencies. So we do have our students available to be available on either on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday for full-time. And then for our part-time students, it can be any combination during the week, totaling at least 16 hours. However, sometimes there may be issues where there may be unique predicaments, but that is something that we talk about on a case-by-case basis. But our students are expected to be in placement during standard business hours. And of course, I already said about a car. Having a nice ride is a great thing, but you don't necessarily need one to get you to and from placement. Okay, so here are internship categories. As you can see, this is a very comprehensive list of the types of internships that we have available to our students. So aging and gerontology, child welfare, who my colleagues will be speaking to you about later this evening, community mental health, displaced persons, homelessness, domestic violence, military veterans, school social work, integrated healthcare, and the list goes on. Okay, so looking forward to speaking with you after the program.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about admissions. And so Chris and I will kind of both jump in with different aspects of that. But our basic requirement, the university's requirement, is a minimum of 3.0 GPA. But however, it is possible to still apply if you have less than that. So especially if you're someone that maybe you have significant experience, it's still possible, like if your application is stellar in comparison maybe to other people, that it's still possible to come in. If you come in on a provisional basis, you do have to meet a certain GPA within the first 12 units, and we explain that to you at the time of admission. But you do have to, everybody has to maintain a 3.0 in the program in order to keep getting federal funding. So at the bachelor's level, you can still get Pell Grants and things like that if you have less than a 3.0, but at the graduate level you cannot. So we do require that you have a liberal arts-based undergraduate degree from a regionally accredited college or university. So most of the programs are, just sometimes some of the for-profit schools are not regionally accredited. The only actual class requirement that we have is a statistics class. So many of you have probably done a stats class as part of your undergrad. If you did not, you can still apply for the program, but you have to have finished a stats class before school starts. So if you were given an admission offer, it would be subject to the fact that you do complete a stats class. And you can take one at a junior college, you can take one online. We have some suggestions if you're not sure where to take one or you can't get into one. And we do like to see some kind of relevant experience working with people, whether it's in a social service setting or maybe it's in a school or something where you you have experience working with vulnerable populations. And so that when you go into an internship here with us, you're not just shell-shocked with what might be happening with some of your clients. So, and we do not require the GRE. So that is a good thing. And I heard someone just say, yes. So I'm going to pass it over to Chris now.
So hello everybody, my name is Chris. I am one of the 3 program representatives. So me, William, and JC are the 3 representatives who are going to be working with all of you in getting your applications in. The way that the process will work is you're going to be working with us to get your applications completed. Once those are completed, I'm going to pass them off and send them over to Karen. Karen will be the person that kind of starts that review process. So before you guys get to that review process, you have to make sure that we get everything on the list completed. Our application is going to be completed fully online. So if you go on our website, apu.edu, anywhere on that site, you'll find an apply button. You'll make sure you select the graduate application, and then you'll be able to submit all of your documents online. So once you get the application, you will have a $45 application fee. That will be waived for students who have attended this event, actually, right? So if you use that code MSW20, you'll save $45. Or if you are an APU alumni or a veteran, another way to get that waived if you have friends or family interested in social work. In addition to that, we will be asking for a personal statement. It's a 6 to 8 page double-spaced personal statement. There are 6 different prompts that they ask you to write about. We'll go into that in the next slide. We will also be asking for your resume, especially highlighting any of that experience that can be related to working with those people groups that Karen mentioned. We will also be asking for 3 letters of recommendation. These are online forms that you will submit online through the application. You'll actually input the email address for the individual who you want to recommend you, and then they will receive a form to fill out on your behalf. A letter is not required, although if they want to add a letter, they can add that in addition. And lastly, it's going to be your official transcripts with your posted bachelor's degree. This is going to be the requirement that takes the longest amount of time to get. Sometimes if you send it through the mail, it gets lost. So be sure to order your transcripts sooner rather than later. If you are still completing your bachelor's degree and you will complete it after the application deadline, you'll send in your transcripts twice. So you'll send them in once before the application deadline, and then if you were to be admitted, we would ask for you to send them in again once you have that posted bachelor's degree. And then if you do take the statistics course at a community college or a university that's different than where you completed your bachelor's degree, then we will also need those transcripts as well.
Thank you, Chris. So just one thing I'd like to mention about transcripts is many of you will have been to a junior college and then transferred to a 4-year college, or maybe you've been at several colleges before you actually graduated. And so some 4-year colleges and universities include detailed information on all the courses that you did at prior universities. And by that, I mean they list the course name, the course number, and the grade you got. Some 4-year institutions just say, oh, you transferred in 70 units and you got a GPA of whatever. So if your 4-year institution includes the detailed information from your JC or your other schools, you don't need to request transcripts from the prior schools. If they don't, then we want to see them from the prior schools too, okay? Our early admission deadline and the only deadline for advanced standing students. So if you're in the 2, 3, or 4-year program, it's classed as the early admission deadline, January 15th. If you're an advanced standing student, that is your one and only deadline, January 15th. And then the final regular admission deadline is March the 1st. So the benefit of applying under early admission is we review those first. And at that point in time, we have all of our spots open. And so those that rate the highest, like the really, really strong applicants, they will get an admit letter early in the first round. Then the other ones that don't get one, we still hold on to them and we consider them again as we're considering all the other applications that are coming in up till March the 1st. So you have nothing to lose by applying early, because even if you don't make it in the first round, you might make it in the second round. And plus you've got it out of the way. You're not scrambling last minute. So if you know you want to apply, I would encourage you to try and meet the first deadline. But if not, March the 1st is the second one. This is online too, but Chris mentioned about the personal statement. And so this is the guideline of the essay you're going to write, what we want to know about you. So again, you can get this on our website too. And just make sure that you really address this. We're looking at the quality of your writing. We're looking at your grammar, your sentence structure. How does it flow? This is the chance that you can really tell us about all your experience, more so than what's just in your resume, okay? Now we're going to go on to financial information. And so this is a breakdown of the cost of our program. So for the full-time program, it's divided over 2 years. It is cost per unit at APU, at any of the programs. So it's not, sometimes people think, oh, well, I don't want to do part-time because it's going to cost me more money. No, it doesn't cost you more money because you're not paying a set amount per semester. So the full-time program, you can see how it's 2 equal years in the cost. So this year, the tuition rate is $747 a unit. And so it's 60 units, which comes to $44,820. It does go up a little bit each year, but we never have huge increases. The part-time program, you can see how that's broken up over 4 years. The advanced standing program comes to $26,892, including the summer bridge classes. And again, that's at this year's rate. And here is a breakdown for the Inland Empire, where it's broken down over 3 years. So there's the units vary slightly, you can see. That's why each year, that's why it's not identical cost for each year. In terms of financial aid, all of our students can take out federal Stafford loans. Advanced standing students are able to borrow more for that summer session as well. So $20,500 is the federal Stafford loan limit, but then there is also Graduate Plus loans. So federal Stafford loans do not look at like how many dependents you have, how much your income is, what your credit's like. They do not do that, but Graduate Plus loans do. And Curtis Smith is the financial aid counselor that works with our social work students. So if you were to apply and be accepted into the program, Curtis would then be the person to guide you through the actual financial aid process. This is just some information here. There's the APU school code for if you are filling out a FAFSA. You'll need that. And a link to the Graduate Stafford Loan Worksheet. So we're going to just tell you about some great opportunities we have. One is we're just finishing up a current grant for what we call a HRSA scholarship. And it comes from, it's the Health Resources and Services Administration. So this is federal money. And so we are bound by all of their very stringent requirements. And it has just been absolutely wonderful the last 4 years to be able to give out basically full ride scholarships to typically about 7 students a year. We've usually had enough money for 6 full-time students who get 2 years, a total of $50,000, and then we've been able to give 1 to an advanced standing student each year. This current year, we were not able to give any money to students coming in because we had to finish up our current grant funding. So the students that are getting it this year are the ones that are in like the second half of their funding. And this is for students that can demonstrate financial need, who have disadvantaged backgrounds under 3 categories: economic, educational, and environmental. You do have to be a resident or either a citizen or a permanent resident. Unfortunately, DACA students are not eligible to apply for this because it's a federal requirement. And so you do have to commit to working out both in your internship and after you graduate for at least 4 years in communities that are medically underserved. So practicing behavioral health in medically underserved communities. And so we are hoping that this funding will be offered again next year so that we can request and write this grant and apply for funding that we'll have more to offer for next year. But we won't know until next year, hopefully sometime in spring. And now Virginia will talk about the LA County DCFS stipend program.
Okay, so this is this is Title 4E federal monies. This is a partnership that we at APU have with 6 Southern California university partners, and we partner with LA County Department of Children and Family Services to offer stipends to students interested in working with children and families. So for this, to be eligible for the stipend, students must be in the clinical concentration of 2-year full-time program, and of course be passionate about working with children and families. So the stipend recipients receive $18,500 for each year that they're in the program, totals about $37,000, which just about covers tuition. We have a total of 12 stipends, but we offer 6 annual stipends, and then our current first-year students will then move into the second year. So every year we're recruiting for 6 students. Okay, so in the foundation year, in the first year, students who are stipend recipients will be placed in a child welfare organization. So this is an agency that's working with DCFS eligible populations. So it may be working in a foster family agency, an adoption agency, residential setting, working with TAY, with transitional age youth, or even in a school setting working with the foster youth population. In the second year, students are placed in the Department of Children and Family Services. We work with our local offices here in Glendora and Pomona and El Monte. And students will be shadowing workers, going out and investigating child abuse referrals that come into the hotline. That's in emergency response. And also shadowing workers who are in continuing services, working toward the reunification of the family. So with the stipend comes a payback requirement. Now that does not mean that you literally pay back. I've had students come up and ask me, do I have to actually pay back? You don't, you will not pay back unless, of course, you do not complete a 2-year requirement to pay back the stipend. So you pay it back with your work. But of course, I want to say that we are really looking for those of you who are passionate and want a long-term career in child welfare. That's what we're aiming for. But yes, you will have excellent pay and benefits with DCFS. Okay, so next steps, please sign up with me tonight. I will be back in the corner with some sign-up sheets, and I will be in contact with you via email to invite you to our meetings. We have specific meetings for Child Welfare Stipend Program. I host a meeting in January, February, and March. So we will be in contact. Also, there's more information about the stipend if you look up on our website under the Tuition and Aid tab. And I'm going to have Jean come up and talk about another opportunity for GSWEC.
So there's another stipend opportunity for specialization in your specialization year, or if you're an advanced standing student, you would qualify for this stipend. And it is for both clinical and community students, for those who want to work in the older adult, with the older adult population. So we have a consortium of 12 agencies in the LA and Orange County areas that partner with us to provide GSWEC placement sites. And this is a stipend program where there's an average of $4,000 to $6,000. It depends on the agency that would provide stipend for that entire year of your specialization or advanced standing year. In order to qualify, you would fill out a regular field application and additional GSWEC application. And And then you would also, you're required to attend various trainings that GSWEC would provide once you're accepted. But the steps that we will have information sessions that we'll provide for you for more information if you're interested, and I can answer any questions afterwards. And the nice thing about this is that there's no post-graduation work commitment required. So you're not required to put in any time to pay back for that stipend that you receive. So if you have any questions, feel free to come see me afterwards. Thank you.
A lot of information, right? Yeah. Hopefully by now you have noticed that there are a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities to specialize in working with different populations, different age groups. And that's part of what I love about our program, in that we do encourage students to really explore what is it that you want to specialize in. No pressure to specialize while you're in the program. During this time, it would be about just checking things out, which is why you have coursework and field internship. Another exciting opportunity is the Pupil Personnel Services credential. This is a credential that remains highly marketable and highly useful as school districts continue to allocate funds to school counseling and mental health services. So we do offer students the opportunity, whether clinical or community, micro and macro students, to collect their field internship hours at a qualified school-based field internship site, and that would be 600 hours that would be applied for a PPS credential. Now, we currently do not have our own PPS credential program, and in the past 12 years we have we've had partnerships with our neighboring schools, Cal State Long Beach, UCLA, and most recently San Jose State University. So we've had a number of students, after they've completed their MSW degree plus their 600 qualifying school-based hours, and complete the coursework at Cal State Long Beach, UCLA, or San Jose State University. So that would be an opportunity for you once you graduate. However, I'm happy to mention that a little over a year and a half ago, we decided to really take the plunge, and we decided to complete the self-study to the California Teacher Credential program to start our own PPS program. So I'm happy to say that we are, knock on wood, we hope to be approved very soon. So I hope you don't mind me saying that, Mary. So we hope so, and that's right. And we hope to be able to provide that program, which would give students the opportunity to complete the PPS credential during their MSW program. Okay, so all that to say, there are some great options for individuals who want to work in schools. Okay. If you have any questions about that, I'll be around to answer, and the field team will be as well. Thanks.
And so I'm just going to briefly just talk about a couple of loan forgiveness programs. But before I do that, I have some other awesome news. I just got word via a text from Dr. Rawlings that she just found out we are approved through the university that if you are an employee of San Bernardino or Riverside County, and you apply and are accepted to our Inland Empire program, you will be eligible for a 10% discount. So that's the first time we've been ever approved to give a discount, and that is because our program is always impacted. We have a lot more applicants than we do spots. So as a new program, we're able to offer that for San Bernardino, Riverside County employees. There are a few loan forgiveness programs. I'm not going to go into them all here for the sake of time, but I just want to give you this slide so that you have access to it. We do have a student association. They're very active, planning some different events. Our students always go up to the NASW Legislative Days up in Sacramento. And so this is just to kind of highlight our student association. This was from a graduation banquet. We always have a hooding event We've actually got so big that we can't have the sit-down banquet anymore because we're out of spaces, but we will have a lovely hooding event. It will gives us more room that people can bring more family and friends with them rather than be limited to the number of tickets because of space. But this is a picture of our 77 graduates in May. And we have an active social work alumni association. This is some pictures from a gala recently that we had. We have a very diverse student body, and so these are the stats. If you put all of our cohorts together in our Azusa campus, so full-time, part-time, all years, advanced standing, you can see our demographics here. Now, as is very typical in social work, there are a lot more females than males, right? So we're often told that 15% male is actually really good. So anyway, so we currently have 212 students on our Azusa campus right now. And one of the things that's really fun, and I think you're going to really enjoy it, is that we ask a current student and an alumni to come and talk to you about what is it really like why did they choose social work, and what is it really like being a student, juggling, like if you're a part-time student, juggling work and school and being part of a cohort and internship. So we can tell you all about the program from our perspective, but you probably will much rather hear it right from the horse's mouth, as they say, right? So first of all, I would like to welcome up John Contreras, who is a second-year clinical student. That means he will be graduating the first week of May, and I'm sure he's not counting down or anything.
Thank you so much. Hey everybody, good evening. I was actually telling Dr. Trammell how nostalgic it is to be in this room because about 2.5 years ago, I was in this very same room, sitting in this seat, listening to all this information, and here I am 1 year in. It's flying by fast. But back then, I was actually on the fence with which program to choose from, which university to apply to, and I knew after coming to this event that my future lay with APU. So I'd like to talk about a few things. One, why social work, why APU, and my experience 1 year in. And my hopes are that you all get what you came here for, which is something along the lines of inspiration, great information, and the right direction to come join the APU family. So my journey started until after I had graduated, earning my bachelor's degree in psychology. And there was a few reasons why. One was, during my undergrad, I had volunteered and worked on a few projects related to suicide prevention, creating a community clothing bank, and connecting resources within the university. And there I was exposed to new challenges that created room for new learned skills, and I enjoyed it and I loved it. And it really was, it really exposed me to, again, new challenges, and I was excited to continue that same momentum after I had graduated, being exposed to that activity and service. And the second reason why was due to personal experience. Mental illness has ran in my family, and I've been helped by mental health professionals, so it was a blessing to be aided by them. And the ones that actually stood out of all the mental health professionals were social workers. So lastly, out of all the master's programs, really the ones that stood out was the MSW education, and that was due to the freedom and the versatility, and that's what really gravitated me. As we know, the field of social work is a foundation to a diverse range of career opportunities, and really you can fulfill your passion to helping others, which is why you are all here. Lastly was due to really sorry, I'm just a little nervous, that's all. Thank you. Yeah, so overall experience, really, 1 year in, it's flown by really fast. The classes are engaging, they're informative, and they really do prepare you for practical experiences into your internship. Outside of that, well, actually, those who guide the classrooms, the professors themselves, the staff, they're very supportive. They're offering their support. They're insightful about their exposure and their understanding about the field. And on top of juggling your school, you also have to juggle your internship experience. And I had a wonderful first year in where I was placed at Hillsides, which is a big organization dedicated to healing the youth, strengthening families, and transforming communities. So there I was specifically at the Hillsides Education Center, which is a therapeutic residential day school that offers individualized education to youth who have gone through traumatic past, social, emotional, behavioral, and learning challenges. So there, I got not only to work with that individual one-on-one therapeutic setting, but to also work on an interdisciplinary team with teachers, with family members, members from the district, and it was great, really. But now, I kind of took a leap of faith and tried to challenge myself to work somewhere outside of my comfort zone, and I'm currently working or interning at the Men's Central Jail in Los Angeles. And so there, it's a completely different setting, but boy, am I enjoying it. 1 month and a half in, and it's been great, really. So if I can just leave you with any lasting thoughts as far as, again, I'm just really excited for you guys and your journey here. I strongly encourage you to come join the APU family, because really your future will be in a position well cared for here at APU. So thank you.
So now I would like to welcome Ashley Stokes, who graduated a year and a half ago from our program. So John was a clinical student. Ashley was a part-time community student, so she was working full-time and doing the 4-year program. And so great to see you again, Ashley.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashley. I started the program as a part-time student. The reason why I chose social work is I wanted to be of service, and I wanted to have diversity and options in my career. So when I started back in 2014, came to this meeting, did some research for other social work programs at other schools, but this was the only school that I applied to, because I knew when I came to the information session, I just felt very supported by the staff, and I liked what the students had to say about the program. So I started out in 2014, I believe, as a clinical student, and changed over to macro because I decided I wanted to do something more in administration and make larger changes. Although I did understand that in doing, clinical, the first 2 years of the program were very clinical focused, so I would still gain experience on that end. My time as a part-time student, it was very difficult and challenging because I worked full-time and came to school part-time in the evening. So the way that it worked is I would have class in the evening at about 4:20, 4:30, and then stay in the evening till like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So it was pretty difficult juggling both, but I was able to do it because I wanted to still be able to continue to work and gain experience there. But I also knew by pursuing my MSW, I would be able to gain experience through internships. So I continued to do that. My first internship was at DaVita Dialysis, and that was very interesting because I learned more about the medical aspect of social work. So it was a very good experience where I even got exposure to the LCSW, the studying for the licensure exam. So there was a lot of good experience there. And then my second internship that I did was at Riverside County Department of Social Services. So I worked in 3 different departments, in adult protective services, and home supportive services, and public authority. So it was definitely a challenging experience. It wasn't perfect, but I think it shaped me to be what I am today. And going to school, it was one of the greatest parts about it was the bonds that I shaped with my cohort. So being able to build relationships with the staff as well as with my classmates as well, and being able to support each other because we were all pretty much working full time and going to school. So having study sessions, getting together after class and on weekends, that was very helpful to me. And one of the reasons why I did want to go back to school as well, because I wanted to build those relationships. And I felt like I was able to do that very well here at APU. So I graduated last May, and it was the best thing that I ever did. So I hope that that will inspire you to challenge yourself on this experience and to learn and to grow. And right after I graduated, about 6 months later, I got hired at Innovage, working with older adults, which is what I'm very passionate about. I was always raised around a lot of older people and just felt a very good bond and relationship with that population. And that's, what my goal was. And literally after I graduated and started to apply, the opportunities just continued to come. And then now a couple months later, I'm the social work supervisor. So I do a lot of training development, developing a behavioral health team for us and being able to do some different things and to support the social workers. So I wish everyone the best of luck and encourage you to choose APU because it was a good choice for me. Thank you.
One thing I just wanted to clarify too is that many of our community graduates still do go on and pursue licensure after. So you don't have to do the clinical track to be eligible to pursue LCSW afterwards.